Yes, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
Here's a wonderful voice.
God, I love the station.
Good morning, wherever you may be around the globe, on another planet, or on the other side. This is The Last Frequency. I am Mike Vara, and, it's Halloween night, folks. We're on Facebook, as you may know it. You could find me there. You'll find me over on Truth Social. And, you'll also find me on MeWe. And guess what? Now, I'm more active on Twitter now. Elon Musk I wanted to test it. Elon Musk has taken it over. And, I've been able to have a little fun over there and not get banned for it. How about that? Like, combating these liars on there, these politicians and these fakes, and so it's been a lot of fun anyway. So we'll see what happens. But so far, it seems to be a better place. I see all the lefties, boy, they're all bent out of shape now. They got freedom of speech, they're getting their voices out there. They don't like that. They like it when they can speak on there and they can trash everybody. But just as soon as it's open, free game for everybody, they don't like that. That's no good for them. I'll tell you, I was pulling up a chair and just eating the popcorn and watching the show over there. It's been pretty good. It has been pretty good, I'll tell you. I'm over on I'm over there on Twitter as well. So you could find me there. I don't even know what the hell my handle is. I'll get it up. I'll get it up on the website here at some point. So let's get into some news here. I'm in a really good mood tonight. It's good to be on the air. Last week, I was just blah. I just was done. I was spent, and I apologize, but it happens every now and then, People wear me down sometimes. I am getting older. I'm not 36 years old anymore like I was when I started this thing, or 35, I took that for granted. Anyways, so there's a grandmother has Ouija boards handed out to attendees at her funeral. Oh, you thought I was going to start the night out with something else, didn't you? Well, I'm not. A much-loved grandmother wanted the boards to be given out so that she could stay in touch with her relatives. Now, that's pretty fancy of her. That's thinking ahead. I mean, if ever there was a line of communication to the other side and you're not psychic, well, that might be one of them. So, a staple of horror movies, as you know, paranormal investigations and mediumship sessions, the Ouija board is typically operated by having participants place a finger on the planchet, I guess it's called. It's that little plastic deal there, and which then moves between the printed letters and words to spell out a message from beyond the grave. Now, I did it before. I've done the Ouija board one time. I mean, physically did it. I did it with a friend of mine, and I know he was moving that thing. I told him, well, then take your fingers off it and let me see it move. You can't. You got to be touching it. Well, of course you do, because if you're not touching it, it wouldn't move, I told him. I'm still not convinced that any spirit was moving that thing, but whatever. It's his story, and he's sticking to it. So, anyways, while many may dismiss them as supernatural claptrap type things, others remain convinced that they are the real deal, even warning people against their use in fear of summoning something unnatural. That's why on Late Night in the Midlands, I had Barry and Connie Strom, who would come on once a month, and they would bring out the spirit board, which is basically a Ouija board. It's just of their own design. And, and a lot of controversy over that. I'd get all kinds of emails, everything from thank you or love them to are you really that naive to believe that they're really doing, it was fun anyways. If I had more nights, I'd do it again. It's just I get one night a week. And I kind of want to use it for the best things I can. And I don't know, the board is fun, but it's not something I'd want to, kill my whole week on. Anyways, before this lady died, okay, she left instructions for the Ouija boards to be handed out to the attendees of her funeral with a note which read, "Let's keep in touch." Granny was thinking. Now, I wonder if they've used the boards at all to try and reach Granny. Because if not, then that's a shame. Granny's calling and you're not picking up. No. It's an idea. I'll put that on the list. It's just another idea for when that time comes, which, not too fond of. Some days, anyways. Scientists finally discovered drug. Oh, yes, another drug that replicates effects of exercise on muscles. Researchers at Tokyo Medical and Dental University claim to have identified a drug that replicates the benefits of exercise on muscles and bones. Oh, boy, the couch potatoes will love that one. You mean I don't have to go to the gym? All I got to do is swallow a pill? Boy, we've been waiting for that day. To each their own, though. I'm not here to judge. Hey, if it works, what the hell, I think natural's the best, but the pill might be the easier route, I suppose. Let's see. Brazil's Roswell. Rumors emerge of alien creature footage. Sure that wasn't just Hillary walking around, creeping around at night? Footage allegedly captured during a UFO incident in Brazil in 1996 is rumored to be in line for release in the near future, known as the Varginha incident, or Brazil's Roswell. The event itself began in January of 1996 when a number of people reported seeing a strange cigar-shaped object falling from the sky. It looked like a washing machine fighting to keep its altitude. A witness had said during an interview recorded shortly afterwards, and the side of it was completely torn, and it had white smoke coming out. It wasn't black smoke like from a fire, this witness says. At the time, the witness thought it was like an aircraft in trouble, an airplane. He says, so I decided to follow it. So when they arrived at the crash site, he observed a large amount of debris and a strong smell of rotten eggs seemed to fill the air. As he explored further, he realized that this was no airplane. The debris looked like it was aluminum, he recalled. So he took a sheet, he took a small piece, it was very light, crumpled it, but when he released it, it went back to its original shape. Oh boy, where have we heard that one before? Roswell. Before long, several military trucks arrived and the entire area was cordoned off. Now, what followed was what can only be described as a Roswell-style cover-up, with armed soldiers searching the area, patrolling the streets, and threatening witnesses. Sounds very, very familiar. As if that wasn't enough now, reports started to emerge of a strange creature that had been sighted in the town. It could be Hillary. A being of around 4 foot, oh, that could definitely be Hillary, in height, with oily skin, yeah, that sounds about right, and a large head, absolutely, and red eyes. There you go. You've got it. So the same creature was reportedly seen again around 3 hours later by 2 military police officers. One of them actually managed to capture it, and the pair took it to a local hospital. Now, it has been alleged that a 35-second video clip of the creature was recorded at the time, and they're expecting that it should be released soon. Now, will anybody believe it? If it is real, they're probably not going to believe it anyways. They're going to say, that's photoshopped or video faked or whatever the hell you want to say. And it just might be. That's what I mean. You don't know, right? I hate not knowing. Chip and skin. Chip and skin. Yep. Just as I said. So a chip in the skin. This guy, he pays for things by swiping his hand after having bank card implant put under his skin. It gets worse, folks. A dad is the first Brit. Yes, a dad. That means that there's more of them. Is the first Brit to get microchipped with a bank card implant, letting him pay with just his hand. Why? Why is that important to have? Why? I mean, do you want to be a Jedi that bad? Watch this. I'll use the Force and pay for my soda. What? Why would you do that? I mean, why take any chances at all and do something like that? God only knows what you've done to yourself, Dad. So Arnie Zoke, he's 40 years old. He forked out $350 to have the operation in Germany. The NHS healthcare assistant said cashiers and other shoppers have been stunned, he added. People ask how I can pay with my hand. Well, because you're a Jedi. Oh, don't you feel so important now that you could just wave your hand and pay for stuff? Yep, all them, well, enjoy anyways. The implant looks cool, he says, but my wife would never have one. Well, your wife is obviously the brains of the operation, and the chip uses contactless card technology with magnetic fields transferring data to readers and through your body, but enjoy. I don't know. I'll stick to the card myself. I will definitely stick to the card myself. So, the man accused of attacking Paul Pelosi in his home on October 28th has been charged with assault and attempted kidnapping by the Department of Justice. Now, you know, I've kind of been throwing it out there jokingly, but, you know, I'm serious in a sense. Not that I want this guy to be free. He shouldn't be. But, that being said, aren't these the same people? I mean, you know, the Pelosi's, they were part of creating what's happened here. They have created the lawlessness. They've told criminals that they could do what they want and that they'll be freed. They'll be let go. Remember, it's a criminal reform. So I guess when it happens to your family, folks, it's not important. They'll release the criminals. But when it happens to your Majesty's family, well, then that guy's got to pay dearly, and he's not going anywhere. This is what they wanted. Is it not? I'm not heartless. I'm just pointing out the obvious. So call me Mr. Obvious. But is this not what they wanted? Lawlessness? Now it's come to them. If any of the, who knows what really happened? I mean, it's a shame, but so far we've seen no evidence. We've only heard news reports. God only knows, God only knows. But assuming that this is, all as they say, which who knows? Either way, this violence is finally coming to you, and this is just the beginning. This is what they wanted, and it's probably going to continue to happen around. People are fed up. And some people are just crazy, and crazy attracts crazy. You get up there like you're a drunk woman. I don't know. It's like she hits her box wine. I was thinking that too. I said, what if Nancy went down in the wine cellar, opened up a few boxes, got hammered. And then start thinking, that SOB got a DWI, make a mark on my name, and went up there and, gave him a butt whooping. You never know. And, now it's a big cover-up. I just, hey, everyone's throwing out conspiracy theories. Can I? I'm going to throw one out there. There's mine. Because boxed wine will do that. Look, I don't feel sorry for these people. I don't. Normally I would feel sorry, but I don't, because this is what they caused this themselves. So, it is what it is. So the Justice Department announced the 2 federal charges on Monday against David DePape, 42, who is accused of brutally attacking the husband of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Well, Nancy, you wanted it. So he's charged with 1 count of assault of an immediate family member of a United States official, which can be a maximum sentence of 30 years in prison. He also is charged with 1 count of kidnapping, amounting to a 20-year maximum prison sentence. It's my understanding this guy was a leftist, too. According to his neighbor, he was very leftist. So, even the leftists have had enough. So Pelosi was transferred to a San Francisco hospital following the attack and is expected to make a full recovery. So he's lucky. So apparently now the story is that this guy wanted Nancy. He was waiting for Nancy. He was going to break her kneecaps. I don't mean to chuckle at that, but he's only doing what a lot of people have thought. I hate to say it. These people have caused this to happen. I mean, they have caused it to happen. Not that it's okay, not that it's right, because it's not. However, you open the windows and keep screaming violence, eventually a bat's going to come in. So the cesspool, they say, factor on Twitter has amped up exponentially in the last 72 hours. First with the Free the Bird ethos, leading to a spike in racist and anti-Semitic tweets. No, see, that's where you're wrong. There was racist and anti-Semitic tweets constantly from the left, and now that Elon Musk owns Twitter, things are changing over there. People are able to actually freely speak their minds. No, not threaten violence. That'll get you banned anywhere. But you can speak your mind. You can tell Biden he's a horrible president without getting banned, or them saying, you want to think twice before you send that message, and then they don't let you send it. But boy, what a meltdown over there. Let Trump back in, I'm leaving. Leave. They're just so mad. Now they're going to all flood the Facebook. I thought they were there anyways, but they love Twitter. Now that's been taken from them. And now, I see both sides saying, open speech. But they don't like it. They like to be able to say what they want to say, and they don't want nobody challenging them at all. All that should be banned. And you should be banned if you say anything to them. like Hillary. Hillary's on there talking smack about Republicans and the Trump followers and blah, blah, blah. At least we didn't follow her husband to the island 26 times. At least we didn't do that, hideous. I asked her if she was going to be flying her broom this Halloween, and I didn't get banned for it. How about that? You know, in the past, I would have. Oh, so yeah, anyways, even GM has been pausing ads on the platform. Do you think he cares? I mean, the guy is richer than rich. He doesn't care. I mean, they can't run him. I have people say, oh, they're going to buy him out. No, you can't buy him out. Just like Trump, you can't buy him out. These guys got all the money they need. So I disagreed with Trump when the people said that about him. And I disagree with that about Elon Musk. And let me just say, both of these guys I didn't like at one time. I kind of like them now. Yeah, we'll see. I leave it open for, change my mind based on evidence. But right now, I'm liking it. Liking it. Hey, it turns out that anyone who drew a smiley-faced sun as a kid has been scientifically proved somewhat right. I guess, in a sense. Because last week, NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory captured an image of the biggest object in our solar system looking like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters. But it might not be as cute as it appears for us here on Earth because the solar emoji, as they call it here, could produce a beautiful aurora sighting, or it could signal problems for the planet's telecommunication system. So, knocking some stuff out. I was looking at it too, so it was pretty wild. Anyways, that's all I got here on this Halloween night with news anyways. I've got a great guest who's going to be joining me here in just a few minutes. So why don't we go ahead and go to that break, and then we can get back and get this thing rolling. Happy Halloween to you all. You're listening to The Last Frequency on the VAR.
You're listening to the VARA Network.
The
search is over. You found us. You're listening to The Last Frequency.
Don't forget to hit the donate button on the way out. That will help The Last Frequency stay on the air. Just go to lastfrequency.com and send some good frequencies our way. Or take advantage of one of our subscription levels designed to help fund what is free for all. The Last Frequency Radio.
You're listening to the VARA Network. Hey, frequencies of all walks of life. Keep up with all things TLF Radio by joining our mailing list. Go to the bottom of the homepage and fill in the form. You'll get everything from guest info and show info and other important station-related information. So sign up now.
Frequencies around the world. Listen up. The shop is here, and you can order TLF Radio swag right now and show your friends and neighbors you're awake by wearing one of our many shirts, including our Let's Go Brandon shirt. That one is a hot seller, so get yours while supplies last. We have coffee mugs, clocks, so never miss your favorite shows, books, mouse pads. Just go to thelastfrequency.com and click the shop link. That's thelastfrequency.com and get to shopping.
Folks, when we look back at history, it's not hard to see the tragedies that come when the government meddles in a nation's food supply, when elections are rigged and more is done to control the people. And what better way to control the people than through our food supply? With recent federal efforts to manipulate farming practices in America, all in the name of going green, you had better be ready and be independent. Be smart. Get your family preparedness they could eat. get them My Patriot Supply. My Patriot Supply has a wide variety of different foods that taste great and last for up to 25 years in storage. 25 years! So get your family prepared and click on the My Patriot Supply banner on our website at lastfrequency.com and have peace of mind that your family will survive whatever comes. My Patriot Supply.
The search is over. You found us. You're listening to The Last Frequency.
You love the nightlife? Haha, so do we. Welcome to the night. From the Midlands of South Carolina, across the East Coast, and the world by internet. You're listening to The Last Frequency with your host, Mike Vara. To call in to tonight's show, just dial 803-997-0936. To get questions directly to Mike Vara, you can reach MV through the portal located on our website in the drop-down menu at lastfrequency.com. Now, here is Mike Vara.
Wanted anything to do with that Twitter, but I don't know. I think it's changing over there a little bit. At least it looks to be. So we'll see. Anyhow, so let me tell you a little bit about my guest, and then I will bring her on. We'll get this thing started. So Marilynn Hughes had a long-standing career in broadcasting as a news anchor, reporter, and producer. She has experienced and researched and written and taught about out-of-body travel and mysticism since 1987 and has written more than 50 out-of-body travel books. So, folks, she's been on the show before. It's been a while, however, so I'd like to welcome her back. Welcome back, Marilynn. How are you?
Michael.
Oh, great. Well, hey, it's great to have you here. On Halloween night, you got kids banging on the door or not so much?
It's a little bit quiet here tonight, a little spooky.
Yeah, a little spooky. I hear Michael Myers is out there again.
Is he?
Oh, yeah. One more time for that guy, so hopefully he skips our houses. Well, listen, we're live, and I do thank you for taking time out to be here, and I also thank you for being so patient, as I had a lot of issues. I had to upgrade a lot of stuff, so. But
no worries.
We're here now, and so tell me a little bit about how you got into all this. How'd you, the interest of the out-of-body? I have to believe you've experienced this, and that inspired you. Am I right?
Oh yeah, it started 37 years ago, I guess. Now. So I started having the experiences spontaneously, like 37 years ago, and I started journaling those experiences, and eventually started writing them down and putting them in book form, and realized as I was doing so, that it was formulating a path, a journey. It was showing me that there was actually a rhyme and reason to the experiences that was kind of being laid out, kind of a Lewis and Clark kind of adventure that, goes into the mystical cosmos, so to speak, that I found was not just common to myself, but common to other people who are having experiences similar to mine. And as I actually began to study the ancient sacred texts and things like that, and then compare it with other out-of-body experiencers, near-death experiencers, things like this, found that this pathway that was being laid out was important and something worth sharing. And as I've done so, have discovered that even more so, we have so many similarities in how our spiritual path unfolds as we enter into and then follow through into the deeper aspects of the out-of-body experience, and how it helps us to reach into the deeper recesses of our spiritual development in this lifetime on Earth.
Yeah, it's I've often classified it as almost a spiritual boot camp here because, I mean, let's face it, there's nothing easy about being on this planet.
That's true.
Yeah. So,
not for the weary of heart.
No, it's really not. And I, it feels to me like we come here, and I know it sounds like what everybody says, right? But we come here and we get these experiences and we bring them back to wherever it is we go spiritually. And almost like, well, in this body, I've experienced eating pizza. So when I'm a spirit, maybe now I know what that's like, so I could kind of manifest it in my own way. I don't know. What is this all about? What do you think?
It's real simple. Comes down to one word: purification.
Purification.
Yeah. So one of the things that we learn early on in the out-of-body experience is that, here in this third dimensional realm, we're not the highest in the spectrum of evolution, nor are we the lowest. We're here in what I call the borderlands, the middle worlds, and this is also the mortal worlds, the worlds of darkness and light. So there are worlds below us that are more dark. There are worlds above us that have more light. And what we are here to do is purification from those elements of our souls that still remain in darkness and need to be brought into more light. Because this is how we become more compatible to these higher and higher indwellings of the spirit, which bring us into these higher spheres of existence. And so, in the out-of-body experience, one of the first things that people will discuss is the vibrational state. People go into this vibrational state before they will exit their body. Mm-hmm. And this vibrational state really is key to a lot of the experience and a lot of what's going to happen to the spirit and soul throughout, because the vibration of the soul is really what it's all about. It's the key to everything, because as you traverse and as you progress, your vibration is going to be raised up continually, because the vibration of your soul is the key element as to what you become compatible to in your travel. And then, of course, this will translate as, we move into the next life as to what worlds are we becoming compatible to. So we become compatible to higher worlds by increasing our vibration. And so,
yeah.
You know what? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I say, yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so one of the simple things that I've learned along the way is, knowledge is not information, it's vibration. And so we get very caught up in this information, and of course the information age, not that information isn't important, because it is, but in terms of knowledge as a body of energetic wisdom, knowledge is vibration. And the way that we actually become able to embody and understand eternal wisdom is through the acceleration of vibration. It's not going to be through, just taking in more and more and more information. Doing that is helpful, and it's part of that process. But it's the vibration that actually increases our capacity to understand and brings us into these higher spheres and frequencies of conceptual understanding.
And so being in spirit form or in the physical as we are now, it's all a matter of the vibration. High vibration, obviously, I've been told that ghosts, for instance, or spirits, whatever you'd like to call them, and I think there's a little difference there, but kind of the same thing. Anyways, it's vibration. They're a very high vibration, and almost like psychics, and that's why they can connect, is because they're able to get to that vibration. Is that right?
Sort of, yeah. Now, ghosts and spirits that are trapped in the earthly sphere are trapped here in part, oftentimes. There's a lot of different reasons for that. I have a book called Ghosts and Lost Souls, which actually goes into a lot of that kind of stuff that you can download at my website. It's at outofbodytravel.org. But the ghosts and lost souls are actually, for the most part, have an issue of vibration. Because what happens is when they cross over, for a variety of different reasons, it can be trauma, it can be lack of understanding, it can be unresolved things, lack of purification, which is what we go back to, that one word we talked about at the beginning. But there's a lot of different reasons. But what happens is if a soul gets to the other side and is unable to lift their vibration high enough that they can actually see their angels and see the light so that they can respond to it, then they are more likely to get trapped here because they are compatible to that vibration. And so when we bring people who, like for instance, myself, and there's a lot of people who are out-of-body travelers who are called to this, who work with lost souls, part of your task is to kind of help uplift that vibration just long enough for that spirit to actually see the guidance and the help that's already there. They just can't see it because their vibration is just slightly below that threshold level. And see, our compatibility is everything. Yeah. We are what we're compatible to. And this is interesting because when you look throughout the writings of the mystics throughout time, and I'll speak about Emanuel Swedenborg in particular, who wrote in the 16 and 1700s, he spoke about this compatibility as well in a book called Heaven and Hell, where we literally resonate after death to exactly where we're compatible. And this is something that I've seen in my out-of-body experiences, traveling to the heavens, purgatories, and the hells, which is that the weight of our soul, the actual compatibilities of our soul, which is the vibration of our soul, leads us exactly to where we're compatible. And so part of what happens is, with a ghost remains here because they've remained compatible to here. They get trapped here because they're trapped in some kind of thinking. Sometimes they're trapped in a horrible moment that occurred to them. Some people are trapped in the moment of their death, which was horribly traumatic. Yeah. Some people are trapped because they're very attached to their life here. Some people are trapped because they were very surprised by death. Some people are trapped because they did not believe there was a life after death, and they're kind of surprised by it when they are still in existence after they have crossed over, and don't know kind of what to do with that. There's all sorts of different reasons why these kinds of situations arise, but the bottom line comes down to its vibration. And so when we want to really address how do we alter it, how do we change it, how do we help, it's by realizing we have to uplift their vibration so that they can actually see, because everybody has those guardian angels. Everybody has that light is there. It's available. It's just that our vibration, we have to have the capacity to see it, to embrace it.
So is it that they're all trapped, or is it a choice? I mean, some of them choosing to stay here, or
many of them it is choice. Some of them are trapped for a variety of reasons. Some of them are trapped by their own delusions, their own false views, their own conceptions, or their own like attachments to the lifetime that they've left behind. Mm-hmm. Some people are trapped by other souls or by other discarnate entities. That's where we can get into the discussion of, the demonic, where there are these types of things as well. So there is a variety of things that can happen, and it's very varied. I also have another book called Spiritual Warfare, Angels and Demons, which goes into more of how, when you're talking about ghosts and lost souls, it also then moves into that whole spiritual warfare, which goes into that part too, which is there's that angelic and the demonic part as well, because it's not just one or another. There's more than, there's principalities, there's powers, there's a lot of things that are going on in these spiritual worlds. And this is just talking about, we're talking about, when we're talking about this, we're talking about just the astral realm, which is the realm which overlaps the third dimension, the fourth realm around the earth. And this is literally just a tiny, tiny little tiny microcosm of what's out there, because literally there are an infinite number of realms beyond that. We're talking about like one neighborhood of the universe. Yeah. One small neighborhood,
Yeah. So, in your out-of-body experiences, I mean, were these, I guess, were they intentional? I mean, right from the start, did you intend, or were some of them intentional? Some of them just happened? Kind of take me through a little bit of how these things came about and what they were like. I mean, because I had my own, and I like to compare.
Sure, yeah. So with mine, I had a pretty intense experience when I was about 9 years old, where I was shown that I would have a purpose with this later on. And then this experience occurred, my first experience as an adult occurred when I was about 20. And it occurred very unexpectedly, did not expect it. I was actually pretty afraid when it occurred. Went into this vibrational state. In the vibrational state, I like to just make clear to people, because a lot of people say, well, I think I might have had an experience, but I don't know. And it's like, well, if you went in the vibrational state and had an out-of-body experience, you know it.
Oh, yeah.
There's no question. You don't have to ask, because the vibrational state is so earth-shatteringly powerful. You'll know. It's like you're. I don't even know how to say it, but you'll know it when you're there. When you're in the vibrational state, you're literally separating from the vibration of your physical body and attaching to the vibration of your spiritual body, which is a much higher frequency. And so it's literally like you're going into overdrive. It's like you go from being in a little motorbike to the jet engine,
Oh, yeah, big difference.
Yeah. And then it's like you start, so you hear the loud noises. In fact, some of it sounds like a jet engine noise all around you. And that is in part, the sounds of the astral plane, because, again, this is the higher frequency vibration. And you also might hear what sounds like a lot of voices, but what you're hearing are actually thoughts and feelings and stuff that's, from the thoughts of humanity that's just going around the astral plane. You start hearing just the thoughts of humanity. And then sometimes, now when you have your first experience, like for me, this part occurred like in the second experience, but a lot of people might have this in their first experience, where you experience the unconditional love of God, and or you also have this connection to God, where like all of a sudden the mysteries of God are just known to you. You just understand everything. Everything makes sense. And while you're in that space, you get it. And then, when you return, you remember that you were there, but you don't necessarily retain it, Yeah. But you know that when you were there, it all made sense, But this unconditional love of God, which is just literally being bathed and covered in a love that no one can explain. Everyone tries to, near-death experiencers talk about this. Out-of-body experiencers experience this as well. in my first experience, I was so afraid that I did not experience that part.
Oh.
And, so my first experience, I was afraid, thought I might be dying. I'm young, and I lift my arm up, and my lighted arm comes out of my arm. So I realize that's my spiritual arm. Yeah. And then I rolled over and rolled out of my body, bounced on the floor, up to the ceiling, saw my body on the bed like as a clump of gray matter. And I was afraid. I was like, oh no, did something happen while I was sleeping? Am I dying?
Yeah, that's like, how I felt when I was a kid. I was about 9 or 10 in that area, and I had a couple of them in that era, and they were all kind of the same. I mean, I woke up, I got up out of bed, and it was weird. It felt weird. I looked back, I see myself laying there in the bed, and I thought the same thing. I said, "Oh damn, I figured I died." And so I was a little nervous, and I was calling my parents, who were just a wall away, and they never answered me. And I had a sibling who was sleeping in the same room. I couldn't wake him up. I couldn't shake him. I couldn't do anything to him. And as a matter of fact, I couldn't leave the room, which was really strange. And so it's frightened me so much, I switched to a different bedroom. And within a couple of weeks, it happened again. And that leads me to a question. I don't know. How do you feel about extraterrestrials? Am I getting off into a crazy land here with you, or I mean, how do you?
No. I mean, out-of-body travel and extraterrestrials kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. Well, what I'm wondering is how likely is it that they could manipulate an out-of-body experience, and if they wanted to, and make you think, because I had another one when I was an adult, and it was nothing like the ones when I was a kid. And the one as an adult, I freely moved everywhere. It was insane. But when I was a kid, no, I couldn't leave. And so I don't know, I just kind of wonder sometimes. I've had guests on who have said that they got abducted, however their bodies weren't taken, their spirits were, and then they were brought back. So I'm kind of wondering, where do you stand with that kind of thing?
Oh, I think that's absolutely very likely, and the reason being is because that's an easy way to do it for the extraterrestrials, and they do. And I've had that happen to me myself many times, but I've also had really amazing experiences with other races of extraterrestrials that are very different. So, these are, when you're talking about this, you're talking primarily like about the Greys, And so the Greys are the ones who kind of do this sort of thing. And absolutely, yes. And they're actually really good at that.
Yeah, those little buggers are a problem because, they... all they would have to do, honestly, is knock at the door. Yeah, it'd be a little frightening probably, but knock at the door and I'd be glad to go and, sit, chat with them, take a ride, whatever. They don't have to come and steal you in the night. It's, I guess for some they might have to, but again, I mean, that's just, it almost, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, how long? They've been doing this for I don't know how long. It's like, how many experiments do you really need to do? And they just continue, and then it goes on in families.
It's interesting because it does seem that they do both, because it does appear that they are taking some people physically and some people are going spiritually. So it seems like there's, both types of things going on.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that they have the physical experimentation, and then there's another thing, another whole series of things that they're doing that has to do with the spiritual. And so...
I was going to say, I would think that God wouldn't be too happy with somebody messing with that soul, but no?
Well, it all depends on, when it really gets down to it, exactly what is happening there. And I don't honestly know the answer to that one. I'm not a real fan of the experiences I had with the Greys, and I only had, I didn't have a ton of experiences with them. The ones that I had were actually kind of frightening.
They would be.
I don't know, were yours as well?
Well, I see, this is the thing. I mean, for me, I've always thought throughout my life, I always considered, as a child, I considered those out-of-body experiences. As I've gotten older and I've talked to more and more people who've had experiences and experts who in the field, it makes me wonder now, because, again, these two were much different than the one as an adult. And, and I've had, what really hit the light bulb, made the light bulb go off one night, is I had a guest on who said, well, yeah, they took me spiritually, like they took me out of my body, brought me, took me to the ship. And this guest said that when they were in the ship, that they had the room that they were in, it was almost like the holodeck on Star Trek, where they made it, it was your bedroom. You're in your room, you wake up, you think you're in your own room, so you don't panic as much, as a kid anyways. And and so she was telling me about this, and it just rang a bell in my head, and I was thinking, oh my God, I wonder if that's what happened, because I went to open doors and I couldn't leave that room. I mean, both doors were closet doors. One should lead to a hallway. I couldn't get out, and nobody answered me, and and then as I think about it, I mean, it was weird. It was the middle of the night. It was bright through the window. I don't know. I don't want to speculate. But it just, it's kind of strange to me.
Well, there's other explanations for that, though, too.
Yeah.
Which is that if you were just having an out-of-body experience, you would be in the spirit, and your parents and your siblings would not be able to hear you or feel you,
right,
because you would be trying to reach them, and they wouldn't hear you in the same way or feel you in the same way. That would be... normal.
And is why I've always considered it just an out-of-body experience,
right.
But I didn't see no grays, I didn't see no aliens, so that's why I will never come out and say, oh, I was abducted, because I don't know. I've been told that many of us were probably abducted and never knew about it. A lot of us, you, me, who knows? But I don't know. And I've had a lot of sightings as well through my life, more than I probably deserve. So I don't know. I get drawn into this. That's why I do this show. I'm fascinated by these topics, and I want answers, and so I try to get them. What about interdimensional? I mean, so that would kind of be like the spirit world. Would that be considered, another dimension?
Well, that would certainly be, that type of an abduction would be considered interdimensional.
Yeah.
And, what I'd like to say about that, just because I don't want to leave people with that fearful thought, part of what happened when I would have those experiences of the spiritual abduction with the Greys, it was kind of intense. And that was what was frightening to me, was because there was this intensity about it. And it was that they had such total control over me during the time that they were doing whatever it was that they were doing, and they would pull me into this craft that was outside, and they were just doing stuff, and I don't really know what they were doing. You know what I mean? And but the thing to give it the opposite side of it would be, and you mentioned interdimensionals. And talking about extraterrestrial interdimensionals, I've also had some of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had are with, like the Pleiadians and the Alpha Centaurians and the Arcturians, and also several other races from different worlds that I don't even know the names of, that where I have been given these beautiful experiences and shown what their worlds are like, and been allowed to experience this high level of evolution that they reside in their worlds. And so we have, there is not just one race that interacts with us, especially interdimensionally, and so there is this there's a beautiful side to this as well. So you have to remember, it's not just a one or the other kind of thing. The Pleiadians are very, very unconditionally loving beings who are actually here primarily for the purpose of assisting the spiritual development of humankind. And there are other races who are doing similar things. There's one race that I've spoken about before. I call them the Tibetans, and I call them that just because they only interact with a very, very select few people on the planet Earth, and the ones that they showed me were in Tibet, and and they're very, very intense and just very, very highly evolved beings, and they are wow, they're just amazing. And I can't even. It's so hard to put it into words. When you try to describe it, is when you realize how hard it is to put it into words.
That's like some of a couple of the sightings I had. Just describing them just does them no justice. It's
right. It really doesn't.
Yeah,
no justice.
You had to be there. I mean,
yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean. These things are, there's so much happening on this planet. Well, around this planet in our so-called reality that we just, we don't even understand. I mean, there's so much more we don't even know about. And, it's kind of crazy that, we come to life on this planet and we live for, like a drop of a bucket in our lives. And, how much can we really learn in that time? So that brings me to reincarnation. And so you say that is something, how does that work? I mean, does everybody reincarnate or just those who need to?
Well, the way that it's been shown to me is that reincarnation is, part of the mechanics of existence, in that it's part of this purification process, and that most souls develop these habitual behaviors that they end up perpetuating over some type of cycle of time, over cyclic existence, and that what we're trying to do in these earthly incarnations is to break these habits that are usually based on some type of delusion or some type of misperceived notion or something that we believe to be true that simply isn't true, that we have to come to the knowledge of. A lot of times we are, this is what it all comes back to, this purification. It's, we have these ideas of what is true. And, how many of us will go through life and not even question what it is we believe to be true?
Yeah.
But yet that's our job. That's why we're here. We're here to go through and actually figure out, well, what is it that that I'm holding on to that might actually be holding me back from moving closer to God? Because these delusions that we carry, these falsehoods that are within us that we don't even realize are there, those are the things that are holding us back from moving forward and keeping us from moving closer to an all-holy God.
Well,
one of...
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I was introduced early on in my path through out-of-body travel experiences to these prophets, saints, mystics, sages, and ascetics from throughout all time who left behind all these ancient sacred texts. And I discovered, that these ancient sacred texts are like these ancient keys of wisdom that are, almost like these beautiful golden keys just laying out in plain sight that we very rarely realize, because these are the last words left behind by the great masters before they left this world for their final sojourn, telling us what it was they discovered that they needed to discover in order to literally graduate this realm. And how many of us ignore them? And so a great deal of what I was directed to do was to study those texts and to make them available to people and make them accessible and show people how they are relevant, because these are the steps, the stairway to heaven, because these are those last glimpses of the masters before they left this world. And if we realize that that's what we have here, literally sitting around in plain sight, maybe we'd go out and want to take a look at them, right?
Yeah, no.
Because we're all like, everyone's always saying, "Oh, I want this to be my last lifetime. I don't want to do this again." And it's like, well, if we have these things available to us, and we know that there are souls who have figured it out, then we want to go find out what they figured out.
You know what? I used to be on that bench, where I'd say, and I wouldn't want to be no cyborg or none of that. But you know what? I think things are going to get so interesting. It'd be really nice to hang around a while and see how it goes. You know, I mean, why not? I mean, what's so... But, yeah. So, I mean, I'm all for coming back. As a matter of fact, I'm for not leaving at all for a while, but... I don't think I'm going to get my way, but if I do, then that's exactly what I'd like. Now, you had mentioned beliefs, and I think back, as a child. I mean, you think about it from the moment you're born, and you can start understanding what your parents and people around you are saying to you. We're lied to, and even good intentional lies, such as Santa Claus is coming down the chimney to bring you gifts, or and look, I did it with my kids too, but and it starts there, and then through our whole lives, let's face it, we're lied to about a lot of stuff, and a lot of important stuff we're lied to about. And I don't mean from our parents, but from everywhere, all corners. And so then it comes down to, well, if you don't believe in, say, some people don't believe in God, or they don't believe in spirit. And I'm one of those who I do believe, but I'm a little different beliefs than some people. But some people don't believe at all, and it's kind of hard to blame them if they've had no experiences. It's really hard because we've been lied to so much. And I can understand if you've not had an out-of-body experience, or you've not had a paranormal experience with ghosts or what have you. I could see how hard it would be to get on that bandwagon. However, before I had any experiences, I did believe. But and maybe that's why I've had the experiences I've had. I don't know.
Well, actually, I remember talking to Sean Graham. Actually, he's got a show. I can't remember the name of his show, but he had an amazing near-death experience, and he didn't believe. And he had a flesh-eating disease that I think took at least one of his legs. It might have been both of them, but he was in a coma for, I don't know, a long time, a few weeks, and had a really extensive near-death experience. And he met God and had this amazing experience, and came back a real profound believer. And I think that I don't know that we can really say anything that can make somebody believe something that we've seen. I think that we can only share what we've seen and share it.
That's it. Yeah.
So, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm happy to share it,
and maybe they'll have an experience down the road, and they'll think back about what maybe you or I or someone else has shared with them, and they'll understand. I don't, I hope, but I think people have a lot of experiences, and they're too quick to just blow them off as coincidence, or oh, that was just the wind, or that, even though it's it's pointing right at what I was taught. Like one day, I had this little prayer I did, and such, and then I went out to eat one night, and I flipped open into the what do you call them there, the horoscopes. And don't you know that horoscope was talking about exactly the thing that I was praying about? And I thought, you got to be kidding me. But, now most people would say coincidence. I didn't. I think there was something to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and, I remember, too, thinking when Sean Graham shared his experience, he said that when he went and spoke to the Lord, he said something, I'm not going to get this exactly right. It's been a long time since I spoke to him, but he had said something to the effect of, aren't you mad at me? Because I was like really kind of a jerk about you,
Yeah.
Something like that, And I just remembered that he said something, about God being just like, well, no, you just didn't understand. You just didn't understand, but now you do. And I just thought that was so cool. And it was the way he said it was better than, what I'm saying now because he had the authentic experience of it. But I just thought it was really a neat thing because it just shows the always unbending mercy of God, that he's always standing there waiting for us when we're ready, Yeah. And I think that's what I've seen that a million times, and I've seen that not just for myself, but for so many people. And that's what, I would just say to people is that, when you're ready, God will be ready. And if you don't believe in God, don't worry, he believes in you. And
see, I have to believe in God. I don't believe in God as some man with long hair who sits in a cloud and keeps score. But I think of God as this, all that is. Like, we're within.
It's so much bigger than the concepts that we have.
Yeah.
Because what it is, one of the things you experience, because out-of-body experiences, and what we've talked about kind of just barely touches the surface, because the out-of-body experience actually expands beyond this, just kind of traveling around a room, and then maybe in the astral plane where you're meeting ghosts or wandering spirits, but then you're moving into these other realms, and you're going into the initiations into the mysteries. You're meeting spiritual teachers, spiritual guardians, guardian angels, guides. You go into higher planes where you learn about the mysteries of creation and the mysteries of salvation. You go into heavens, hells, and purgatories. You go into
say hells?
Fifth dimensions and above. I'm sorry, what?
I say, did you say hells? You go into hells?
I have, yes. Ooh. And many of the mystics have done that, yes. So, you have the upper realms, you have the middle realms, and you have the lower realms.
I had a guest, Stuart Wilde was his name. This old guy, boy, he told me how he used to go into every night, and he would go into out of body in spiritual form, and he would go to hell and he'd fight demons. I mean, he'd tell me about this, and then I had him on a few times, and then he passed away, and I often wondered if the demons didn't get the best of him.
Well, what happens in my experience is, and ironically, this is not an unusual thing. You'll find this even like in the Sutra of the Past Vows of the Earth Store Bodhisattva, which is an ancient Buddhist text by Kistigarbha, which was a Buddhist monk who had a similar mystical gift. But there's many of these. You'll see this in Catholic mysticism and the Sufi mystics. There's there's a mystical tradition in every religious path too. So there's Jewish mystics who've done this. Obviously, in Buddhism and Hinduism, you see this. This is when I would go into the purgatorial and the hellish realms, it's for the purpose of the liberation of souls. And so I will be taken into a purgatorial realm or a hellish realm where there is a soul who has called out for help, and I have been sent in to go give assistance to help that soul to reach the next level up. So I go in and render aid and give them whatever assistance that they need. So what Stuart Wilde might have been talking about might have been because there is some battling of demons that goes on because you're fighting for that soul, because you're taking them from the lower realms. You're taking them from the demons, because as that soul becomes less compatible, they become incompatible to where they are, they become more compatible to a higher thrust. And God does send, one of the things that you read in the book of Psalms, David says, if I go to the highest heaven, Lord, you are there. If I go to the lowest hell, Lord, you are still there. Mm. The moment a soul calls for help, no matter where they are, God sends it. it's instant. This is one of the things that has blown my mind in the experiences that I've had, because I've had thousands of these experiences over 37 years.
No matter,
and I have been.
I'm sorry, but no matter if you're, say, I don't know, Goody Two Shoe or Jeffrey Dahmer, he'll still be okay with.
I have gone in to help souls in. I have helped souls go into the immortal spheres of heaven after death, and I have helped souls who are in hells. I have helped souls who are in a variety of purgatorial realms, and I've helped souls in a lot of different situations throughout existence. So yes.
Yeah.
But like if you're talking about Jeffrey Dahmer, I have not seen him. I cannot speak for his soul.
Well, and
but what
I
I
mean,
could say is that a soul like him. Let's just use a one that is not that because I don't know where he is, because we can only know the energetic truth of a soul after it's been revealed to us,
and that's what I mean.
That has to be revealed mystically.
Yeah.
But a general situation like that, where it's very possible that a soul like this would be in a very, very deep, dark pit of hell. If this soul were to make some type of progress, you're not looking at like this soul is going to jump from, the deepest pit of hell to, heaven. They're going to jump from maybe, there's many, many infinite numbers of realms. So just as, there can be infinite numbers of realms of heavens, infinite numbers of realms of purgatories, there are infinite numbers of hells. And so let's say we're just going to use random numbers to make it simpler. Let's say there's 50 realms of hell, and he's in the 45th realm below.
Okay.
Maybe he's going to move to realm 44 from 45, okay? And so he might get help to actually go from the 45th to the 44th. You see, it's not like he's going to go from 45 and he's going to move from the 45th rung of hell to, let's say, purgatory. That's not going to happen. It's going to be something more gradual. You see what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah. Okay.
If that makes some kind of sense.
It does.
It's more complicated than that, but yet not that complicated.
Okay. All right.
Probably sounds more complicated than it really is, but if it helps to make that sense, it's a very just universe, because God knows the energetic truth of souls, and so He is always constantly overseeing the where these souls are and where they need to be, based on their compatibility.
All right, Marilynn, hang on with me for a few minutes. I need to take a break, and then you and I will come back and we'll talk some more. I've got a lot more I'm curious about, and I'm sure other people are as well. Folks, if you want to get questions to me during the live show, you could do it through our portal on the website, lastfrequency.com, or you can call in. You could call in, I suppose, after the break if you do. 803-997-0936. I know a lot of people prefer now the portal, but either way, it is up to you. It is Halloween night. I am Mike Vara, and I have a really good guest with me tonight, Marilynn Hughes. We'll be back in just a few minutes, folks. Don't be scared.
My name's Joe Biden. I keep forgetting.
You're listening to the VARA Network.
Carolina. Stand by, Carolinas.
Carolina Radio, Columbia.
Excellent, excellent.
Is
your talk station. Good evening, my loyal listeners and dwellers of the night. Doing this show can work up quite the appetite. So if you like what you're listening to here on this radio show, and this station for that matter, then how about buying me a dinner? Just go to the Buy Me Dinner tab at www.lastfrequency.com and send $1, $5, $10. It's up to you. And in return, I will continue to bring you the best guests with the best information every single show. Last Frequency. We cover everything.
Hey, frequencies of all walks of life. Keep up with all things TLF Radio by joining our mailing list. Go to the bottom of the homepage and fill in the form. You'll get everything from guest info and show info and other important station-related information. So sign up now.
You're listening to the VARA Network.
Crazy ass bumper stickers and more.
What?
You heard me. Crazy ass bumper stickers and more.
What?
Crazy ass bumper stickers and more.
What?
For all your bumper sticker needs, just click on the Crazy Ass Bumper Stickers banner located at the foot of my website, www.lastfrequency.com. That's Crazy Ass Bumper Stickers and more.
You're making me crazy.
I want to talk to you about something very important for a moment here, folks. That is clean drinking water. Yeah, you can survive without it for about 3 days. How do you know yours is even pure? You don't, but I'll tell you what is. This is the ultimate water filtration solution. It's called Alexa Pure Pro, and it is a groundbreaking gravity-fed water filtration system that outperforms all the others for less. Alexa Pure products are the only brand of water filters that I carry on my website because I know you expect the very best. No more trusting city tap water. Use an Alexa Pure Pro to supply purified, safe drinking water for your family. I do it for mine. Did you know the Alexa Pure Pro filter removes 200 plus contaminants from the water while preserving essential trace minerals? Very, very important. The filter is certified to NSF and ANSI standards. Just click the banner on my website, lastfrequency.com, located at the bottom of the homepage, and keep your loved ones hydrated and healthy. There is a 30-day no questions asked return policy guarantee. I personally stand behind the Alexa Pure Pro water filtration system because I use it.
The search is over. You found us. You're listening to The Last Frequency.
The night is young. Pull up a chair, put up your feet, and enjoy the ride. Welcome to the night. From the Midlands of South Carolina, across the East Coast, and the world by internet. You're listening to The Last Frequency with your host, Mike Vara. To call in to tonight's show, just dial 803 997-0936. To get questions directly to Mike Vara, you can reach MV through the portal located on our website in the drop-down menu at lastfrequency.com. Now, here is Mike Vara.
03997